The link between effectiveness and responsible media. Please welcome Jake and Thomas to the stage to tell you all about it.
That's all right.
Thanks, everybody, and that was awesome, Lydia. That was brilliant. Yeah, really appreciated that.
Quite an anticlimax now.
Top joy. No, it's good.
Talking about SSPs. That was slightly more interesting.
We'll be brief on intros. My name's Jake. I run a B Corp agency, Media Bounty, also the Conscious Advertising Network and ACT Climate Labs. And Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. It says Thomas, but only when I'm in trouble. I'm the Global Head of Media Investment at Haleon. Haleon is a relatively new company, 2 years old, spun off from GSK in 2022. We look after Sensodyne, McLean's, a lot of brands that you'd recognise, but probably didn't know that we make it. And lovely to be here.
Cool. So we're here to talk about the link between effectiveness and responsible media, pretty much exactly as Lydia was talking about. So I know Tom's been doing a lot of work in this space, and the focus on driving effectiveness is where you're looking at, but how is that really having a positive impact on responsible advertising?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, relatively new company 2 years ago, had a new head of media come in, a guy called Simon Peel, and basically has kind of reset everything that we do from an advertising perspective. We're quite efficiency focused, as a lot of the CPG world was. And he put together a new strategy called Doing the Right Thing. And that came from a quote from a management consultant called Peter Drucker, who said that efficiency is doing things right, but effectiveness is doing the right thing. And within this strategy, he's built a number of different pillars, and I lead the investment pillar, and it's called value and values. So value is auditing, boo, but there's a good thing there, and the values part is ensuring that we are spending in line with our value as an organisation. We believe that better everyday health with humanity is our tagline, and you can't do that without talking to all of humanity. So I work across 92 markets, and we have a view on what responsibility is in those markets, and it varies, it really varies. But the value part actually is the really interesting piece. So we've on this auditing process, working with MediaSense to understand effectiveness and really to try to drive quality in the way that we're buying our media. So think of it trying to buy, rather than going from 15 Murder, She Wrotes to one House of Dragon, take all that money and buy one lovely spot where we've got consumers really engaged, really at a point of wanting to buy. And really focusing on reducing the wastage. And in order to do this, we put together a bunch of KPIs. It will get better, I promise, but a bunch of KPIs, TV and digital. And what we found was that through a lot of these operational changes, we were actually having a significant impact on our responsible media work. So responsible media sitting with another group where we're actively trying to invest with different audiences. But the auditing piece had this beautiful halo. And we were talking about this yesterday. It's good advertising drives good behaviour. And what we have seen is through our digital work stream, we were buying a lot of websites, right? A lot of websites. And you think about the A&A report that came out, 44,000, not too far off that. And actually, when we got into the crux of it, there was a lot of rubbish in there. And actually, by bringing down that quite boring, quite operational process of reducing a long tail of sites, what we've actually seen is this beautiful movement of investment. We are no longer spending an MFA. MFA is a hot topic at the moment, and was called out as 21% within the programmatic supply chain by the A&A. But actually, really heavy websites, they're 10 times heavier than a normal website. So the carbon off the back of that is frightening. And what we've actually seen is in some markets, we've gone from operating on 33 SSPs to 5 SSPs by reducing down our long tail. Equally, we've gone from a lot of websites, I don't want to say the number, to a lot less. In fact, we've reduced it in some regions by 94%. So there's this lovely part of sort of that carbon piece that's coming through. And then equally, we're starting to see that investment's moving into quality journalism. It's moving into responsible sources. It's speaking to different audiences. And what we're actually also seeing is that we're reducing our ad fraud. We're reducing the spread of misinformation. But that's all come from changing our SSPs and changing our approach to programmatic buying. So it's the effectiveness drive and the halo effect it's really lovely to see. And it's something that we will continue to do because it's doing the right thing. And like Lydia, you called it out, we're not doing the right thing because doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing because it's the right thing for the business and for us to engage with consumers, because there's an incrementality there that we're kind of missing. And some of these quite beige KPIs that we put together are actually having quite a significant impact.
Yeah, I've been surprised by possibly the lack of focus of that ANA report that came out. So for those of you that aren't aware, have a look at it. It basically, two of the big takeouts were that the average campaign, it's a US-based report, but is 44,000 websites. How are you going to be consciously investing in the sort of, the voice and some great, sites that are both diverse and also mainstream, quality journalism, if you're spread across that many websites? Where's the accountability for brands and for businesses? The other one was that only 36 cents in the dollar was actually going to the actual media owner. So a dollar goes in, 36 cents comes out to your ad actually being in front of the people that you're trying to sell product to and raise brand awareness. So that kind of inefficiency and maybe more the beige metrics, obviously if you're reaching more people, you serve the whole of humanity with healthcare products. That I don't think that got enough focus. I wanted to ask you though, Tom, this, where are you finding this sweet spot between, you touched on it a bit, but this sweet spot between effectiveness, the driving of the business and the reporting that you have to make to the business on how successful this stuff is being, and then this responsible media, because hopefully there's a really healthy Venn diagram in the middle.
Yeah, there's a trifecta really. 'Cause when you think about sort of premium content, impactful formats and diverse audiences, there is just a really amazing opportunity to engage with consumers. And we've got some stuff coming this weekend, London Marathon weekend, Mile 21, Rainbow Row. Voltaren is sponsoring that mile. And it's just, do you know what it is? It's a really great media execution. It's a fantastic campaign, but also with a great company as well, in partnership with the Gay Times. And we've done out of home, and we've got sponsorship, and it's just a bit of a change in our approach from just buying TV spots and banners online. This is a really effective way of engaging with consumers, and it's a really lovely campaign. And we'll come on to the what next, but a big part of this has been the measurement plan. The measurement plan is massive, just to ensure that we are capturing as much as we possibly can to demonstrate the value that we're seeing from this. And it's just really exciting to see it on the page, and I know there's a huge amount of work happening right now to bring it all together. And then I guess the other sort of that trifecta is some work that we did in the US, again for Voltaren, and it was talking to the caregivers community, a community that is really underserved, and who don't get a huge amount of time off. And the campaign was some podcasts to encourage mindfulness. So it was 1 hour a week that caregivers could have, and it was just an amazing opportunity. Great format, again diversifying away from standard banners and buttons in podcasts on Spotify, all the platforms. And it was like at one point, in the top 1% of downloaded podcasts. So just great content as well. But the commercial results were phenomenal. There was brand increases, but actually they saw a shift in brand share as well. And it was actually one of 2 campaigns that we put into Cannes last year, because it was just a brilliant campaign under the lens of responsible advertising.
What I love about this is, and you know this well, some of you in the room, at Conscious Advertising Network, we've been making the moral case for some of this stuff, cutting off disinformation, making sure we're not funding hate speech across, the internet. But we've seen, and anecdotally across the sector, there is budget cuts in DE&I, there's budget cuts in sustainability, there is a lot of focus on cost cutting and efficiencies and so on. But what this story is telling us, Lydia's presentation and your experience with some of the biggest brands in the world in healthcare, is that actually this is making financial sense, and the focus on effectiveness and responsibility is driving the business, which therefore is repaying into your own coffers. So it makes obviously business sense. So what's coming next? Where do you think this is going to go, both for Haleon and also the broader subject of responsible media?
So I touched on it, the measurement piece is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
I think to your point, we are in some fairly challenging economic times, and actually being able to demonstrate the business impact is super important. And we're doing quite a lot of work with always on MMMs and just really understanding that point that we're seeing. I think the MFA piece will continue to rumble on, because the bit that the eye-catching part of that report was that there's, I think, $22 billion worth of missed investment. So efficiencies that could effectively be reinvested back into premium and diverse content. That's a huge amount of money that is being lost in the ether. And I think the other bit, and not to fall down a cookieless world part, but we came along to watch you at the UN, and there was a lot of talk about the United Nations human rights, and everyone has a human right to privacy. And actually, cookie deprecation and the changing landscape in the United States, My Health, My Data in Washington, is going to start to have a quite positive impact on the way that you buy. Context will be driving a huge amount of the work. Equally, you want to see the drive of inclusion lists in the way that we're operating. So I think it's going to be much the same, but hopefully more will build as we go on, and more opportunities will arise.
Obviously what's next, we're also seeing quite a lot of new legislation coming as well. So there's legislation coming in sustainability, there's legislation coming, the Digital Services Act in the EU, the Green Claims Directive also from the EU, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, the FTC is looking at this sort of stuff in the US as well. So there's kind of both the risk for the business and the board of directors in the business of some of these things of not getting it right. But what you're talking about is the opportunity, because we often talk about the risk of compliance, whereas this is a huge opportunity, and to get ahead of regulation legislation by not just doing the right thing because it's ethically the right thing, but it's the right thing for the business.
Yeah, and with context is king, right? And I think there is a great opportunity to move back to old school media planner buying and actually ensuring that your ad is in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And I think where there are these changes, there is opportunity to hone those skills and to ensure that we're not wasting our media budget. We are engaging with new audiences, and that we are tackling those things head on. Yeah,
and ultimately it's your supply chain, right? It's your responsibility. This is your advertising spend, that you have the right to demand transparency and to spend it where you decide.
Absolutely.
Cool, we've run out of time.
We are minus
Steve,
15.
I will not ask for more time, as I'm sure we'll go way over. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Tom.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you so much. And thank